Winter carp fishing, you know what? Perfect for excuses, too cold, too wet, just don't want to go. Haven't got time, days are too short, absolute load of rubbish. Winter carp fishing, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant opportunities out there. And I've come up to this place, Barston Lakes, up in Solihull, West Midlands. A few hours in the afternoon, that's a bit of me. This is hit and run carp fishing. One of the key things for me in the winter is that you've got to work for your reward. You know, if you want to go out, put the bivvy up, stick the kettle on, you know, stick the telly on and sit there and camp for a weekend, absolutely fine. And occasionally I might do that, but only if I'm fishing for something very big. Let's face it, if it's -2 and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, if you're getting out of bed, it wants to be worth getting out of bed for. But I'm not on about that today. What I'm on about is just daytime sessions, short sessions, and that means work. You know, if you're just going to come, cast 3 rods out and sit back and relax, admire the scenery, great, but the chances are you're not going to catch many unless you're lucky and you fall on them. What you need to do is you need to work, and by that is keep your work ethic. It's something that we instill into the carp anglers coming through the ranks at Carp Team England right up to elite level. You've got to work, you've got to force these bites, you've got to put everything in your favour. Bait, location is all very well and good, but if you're lazy and you're not going to push that last little bit, then you're not going to get anywhere. So it's just making a few little things it's just trying a few little things that make a big difference. So for example, regular recasting is a brilliant, brilliant way of finding out where those fish are. Let me pose this question to everybody that's watching this. Now, how many times have you heard it? I've been here all day, haven't had anything at all, had a recast, would you believe it? It went in 5 minutes. Now, there was something wrong with what you were doing before, or alternatively your location was wrong. Lots of the time we'll get bites really, really quickly after we've cast out, and my rods will stay in the water no longer than half an hour at this time of year. A lot of the time it's slightly less than that, it might even be 20 minutes. And I'm also trying to feel for fish, whether it's on the lead on the way down or looking for liners, just to try and work out where those fish are. Because if you put this food in front of them, they'll eat it. You've just got to get it in front of them. Well, that didn't take that long. Oh, get out of the way, Mr. Swan. It just goes to show that if you get the bait in the right place and it's one that they like, then you don't need hours and hours and hours to go carp fishing. We've got what looks like a nice little double down there. But, you know, this is what it can be like sometimes. The rods have gone out. I've got one out. Got the second out. I haven't got the third one out yet. And the first one has gone. Oh, look at that, what a cracking, scaly looking fish. And you know what, it's not a monster. It's not the biggest fish in the world, it certainly isn't the biggest fish that I've caught, but it is really, really good fun in the winter. And this is what hit and run fishing is about, just getting out there, getting the rods out, catching a few fish in a period where you would normally think, have I got time to go? Oh, I'd like 24 hours, or the weather's not very good. You know what, just get yourselves out on the bank, hit and run, short session, bang. That's less than an hour, 1 fish in the net. Is the result. And I'm going to say something now, please don't demean yourselves or the fish by saying it's not the biggest fish I've ever caught. When they're as beautiful as this, you don't need to say that. If you don't like small fish, don't fish for them. I do, I just like fishing. And just look at him. Absolute cracker, maybe day so far, and hopefully there'll be more of these to come. And bait wise, a lot of the time I'm not actually feeding these fish. All I'm doing is sending a food message out there, and I want them to come and eat my bait. They might only want one boilie a day. I want that to be the one with my hook in it. If I give them two, then you know what? They might eat the other one. I'll miss out on a capture. So I'm only giving them what I want them to eat, which is my hook bait. It's bright, it's smelly, and to it I'll attach a lot of the time just a basic stick mix. Now, our active stick mix is absolutely fantastic for that. In the winter, there's two types in particular that I like, one of them being the spicy and the other one the sweet and nutty. Really, really good attractors at this time of year. There is a fish meal version as well, which is fantastic for the summer, but through the winter months, those are the two that I tend to prefer. I'll mix them up with a load of liquid. Sometimes I'll put a bit of bread in there as well, because bread holds liquid really well. It's not the bread that I'm interested in feeding to the carp. It's the fact that the bread holds liquid, and also it's quite active on the bottom as well. Crush some boilies up, put that in it too, load of liquid over the top of it, and that makes a really, really attractive stick mix that's full of smell, full of flavour, full of attraction, that will pull those fish into the area. And then there's only one piece of food to eat, and that's my hook bait. Another bite already, but sadly this one isn't a carp. Byproduct of match fisheries, bream and F1s, and these baits are obviously that attractive that everything loves them. Not carp, F1 carp, doesn't count, but you know what, shows the bait works. Again, one rod back out, didn't get a chance to stick the second one out, and the first one's gone. And you know, I've got to say at this stage that I am on peg 124 at Boston, which is the area where the match was won from over the course of the weekend, and where there are always quite a few fish. But you know what, that's the whole point of this. I'm not claiming to be the best angler in the world. I'm out for a bit of fun, and that's another one in the bag. And we've been going maybe an hour and a half maximum. 3 bites so far. What can we say? Hit and run carp fishing. I'm going to be home for tea, a very happy man soon. Choice is a really interesting thing. Now, everybody has their own favourite hook bait, whether it's type, smell, make, brand, flavour, or even colour. You know, there's loads and loads of them out there, and sometimes you walk into a shop and there is just an array of pop-ups and hook baits in front of you. You think, oh, Bennett, which one am I going to go for? Generally what you do is you go on the recommendation of a mate first, so you'll try because either they've caught them, or alternatively you'll have a sniff in the shop and it smells quite nice, so you think, I'll have a crack at that one as well. We've developed this hit and run range of baits specifically for this type of fishing. They are perfect in certain situations, but whatever they do, they are really, really attractive. You know, the white ones, very, very bright white, they work ideally in low light levels where there's not a lot of light. You know, the winter time, this is why white baits work so well, because the light doesn't penetrate through the water as much. So white in the winter is fantastic. Interestingly as well, it's also good at the opposite end where there's lots of light around, because it grabs any light that's available, and if there's loads it really stands out. If there's not much, then it will grab that as well and stand out. In the middle, you know what, I don't think it's that much different from any other colour, but high light and low light levels, white is absolutely brilliant. Yellow's another really interesting one too. Through the summer, almost everything underneath the surface is yellow. Weed is yellow, the light going through the water is yellow, the water seems green, weed stems are yellow. All the silt that people sometimes think is black, it's not. It's like a light yellow coloured. Cotswold stone in Oxford, for example, that is what colour the silt is. Now, if you put a yellow bait in that in the summer, it's disguised, it's camouflaged. The reality is they're not, they're actually blending in. But in the winter, everything changes, because down there at this time of year, everything's dark. The leaves are dead, the light is grey, there's no green anywhere because all the weed's gone. That's when a yellow bait really stands out. In the winter as a high vis bait, and in the summer it's a camo bait. Pink for me, that is the all-time winner, because there is nothing underwater that's pink. And pastel pink just seems to be particularly good, especially over weed. And then we've got a particular favourite of mine, the wafters, the red ones. You know what, they stand out like an absolute beacon. And where there is colour in the water, those things, visible as anything, it's the first thing a carp will see. Well, that's it. I've had 4 hours. It's been great fun, much better than just sitting at home, not really doing anything. There was ice in the margins here this morning. It was cold, it was grim, it was foggy, but it's always worthwhile getting the rods out and just having a crack, because you never know. A couple of fish, nice little fishing fix. That's me done for a while. Get out there, you know you want to.